It's where you go to bike, hike, and stroll miles of pathways over more than 7,000 acres of parkland. A place to go explore rivers and fish their bountiful waters. Natural places to go marvel at magnificent wildlife while you play outdoors and go wander charming communities. Find all this and more at Destination Downriver. Give it a go.
Today's podcast is presented by MarketInsights.us, with the podcast on YouTube produced by the City of Taylor's Media Center. Thank you for the generous support of our community sponsor. When your destination is beyond Downriver, let Martinson Family of Funeral Homes help you and your family. With locations in Trenton, Allen Park, Mabee, Rockwood, and Monroe, their staff is available 24/7 at 734-671-5400. For more information, visit martinson.com.
Thank you to our team sponsor, Allegra, Marketing, Print, and Design. Let Allegra assist you with your print, mail, design, and signs. Located in Wyandotte, Michigan, or call 734-284-5330.
Welcome to another episode of Destination Downriver. I'm your host, Karl Ziomek. During our last episode, we touched on modern technology in local law enforcement. We had on Police Chief John Blair and Lieutenant Jeff Adminison from the Taylor Police Department, which has used a lot of modern technology, including the introduction of Rad Dog, a robotic device that was just purchased by the department recently. Today, we're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive into other law enforcement agencies from Riverview, Brownstown, Lincoln Park, and Huron Township. We're going to be back with those panelists in just one moment. We're back on Destination Downriver with the first of our police chiefs. This is Everett Robbins of Huron Township. Welcome to the studio, Everett.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's great to be here and be with you today. Huron Township perennially ranked among the safest communities in this region, this Downriver region, and quite frankly in the state. That's quite an achievement. How has your team managed to attain that level of consistency and safety?
Well, really, it's a two-pronged approach. The first is the incredible work of our officers. They're out being proactive, they're out interacting with the community, they're out solving crimes, they're doing professional, good investigations, which ultimately result in good police work all the way around, and that builds transparency with the community. Last year alone, our officers, for 15 officers, made over 26,000 self-initiated citizen contacts.
Wow.
That doesn't equate to traffic tickets, because that's what a lot of people hear, but that's contacts with the community at large. And many of those positive contacts. So it's really an approach of our officers being visible, and with high visibility comes a reduction in crime. The second prong of that is we have an incredibly supportive community, and we work really hard to get out and be interactive with our community, and in turn we build transparency and trust, and ultimately that community really helps us at a time of need. When there's a crime or something goes out onto social media, or we need tips from the public, we generally get them, and we're very, very blessed to have a really, really supportive community.
There's a real big push on these days for community interaction, isn't there, with law enforcement?
As there should be, right? I mean, nothing starts without your community, and that's really, we in law enforcement need to be and continue to be a customer-based service. We understand that there's always going to be the people, because of the role that we carry, that don't like law enforcement. However, we are customer-based in quality of life, and that's part of our three core values is community partnerships. And we should be interactive, because that's who we serve, and really who knows their neighborhood better than somebody who lives there.
How big is Huron Township?
Well, we're about 16,000 residents and about 36 square miles.
Okay, which is considerable distance.
Right, with some parks in the middle,
right.
And we consist of 3 villages. So we've got a lot of different communities, all which have different needs and different things that they need to make their community where they want it to be, and provide that quality of service.
How many officers do you usually employ? What's the optimum police force in Huron Township?
On a shift?
Yeah.
So primarily we try to work obviously the busier hours. Huron Township doesn't have a huge bar district or things that are happening overnight. So we generally try to employ our officers during the busiest time. So on a day shift when we have our contract policing, such as our school resource officers in play, we could have anywhere up to 8 to 10 officers on at one time. Generally until 11 o'clock at night, we try to have 4 or 5 on at one time, obviously assigned to different areas and different responsibilities, but and then overnight usually 3.
Hard to get officers these days?
You know, we have not had that issue.
Okay, that's good to hear.
And I don't know why that is, but I think that one thing that we're very, very proud of is many of the officers we've hired over the last 2 years, and we have replaced about 75% of our police agency over the last years due to retirements.
Okay.
But probably 90% of our new hires come referred to by somebody who works in our community that's already there. Okay. So that's something that I'm really, really proud of, that not only are we building something, but we're having our officers bring other officers over, and that is something that's really, really important to us. So we have not had that issue. We're at full staffing, and primarily who we've lost has been due to retirement.
You know, you mentioned a little bit earlier here about the parks in the middle, and Huron Township's police department and its relationship with the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks. You have 3 different parks going through, correct?
Correct.
If I'm not mistaken. And, you know, between public safety, working with the Huron-Clinton Metropolitan Authority, you know, conducting dispatch services and training and things like that, does that give you guys a wider array of expertise, you know, because you're so cooperative with those parks?
Yeah, you know, first let me say that it's all about leadership, and the leadership over there at the Huron Metro Parks right now is second to none. We have a great relationship. We meet regularly. We've also had the opportunity to co-train. So our fire department and the Metro Parks, they train on water rescue, because at the end of the day, even though it may be in a Metro Park, it may be one of our residents that are in need. So we train cooperatively, we meet regularly. Just for instance, you know, being on the dispatch channel, as you mentioned, is a huge advantage for all of us. When they need help, we hear it right away, and when we need help, they hear it right away. So we work together. Just last week, we developed a program where our dispatch staff is actually in the car for hours with a Metro Park officer.
Really?
Because a dispatcher is within a fixed location, and when somebody needs help, it really helps for our dispatch staff to have kind of a geographical idea of where that person may be. And so we use some of the technology with pings and things like that with cell phones in most cases, but that gives that dispatcher that opportunity. So those type of cooperative efforts really are beneficial for both sides, and again, I can't give enough credit to the leadership over there at the Metro Parks.
Now, Downriver's often been referred to as one big community versus 18 or whatever the count is these days. It often varies. Area communities have routinely collaborated with neighboring law enforcement and first responder teams. Is there a process of formulating a greater partnership amongst the various departments, particularly around consolidated dispatch services and modernized facilities, as well as mutual and related specialty teams? I mean, I assume you guys are somewhat collaborative as part of mutual aid, essentially, correct?
Sure, yeah. So we have the Downriver Mutual Aid, or DMA, and the DCC, Downriver Community Conference.
Right.
Everybody works together, and I've seen an incredible growth over the last 10 years with the DMA and the DCC. We meet regularly together. We do have the concept teams, right? Traditionally, Huron Township could never have a SWAT team of its own. So we rely, which is a great insurance policy, on the DMA. So we will send an officer to, say, a SWAT team or a crisis negotiation team, and should we need it, we have that collaborative effort between everyone, and so that's been very beneficial. And then on the for the departmental aspect of it, it's really good to send an officer out who can train with other professional agencies and learn things, bring that skill set back to our agency. We are working on, I know there is a push towards a consolidated dispatch and certain things where we can all work together, and there's just a benefit to that may not be tangible always, but there's a huge benefit in working together and learning from other agencies. There are a lot of agencies that are very professional in our area, and we're very, very proud and very appreciative of getting to watch the things that they do and learn from each other.
Now, especially when you're talking about Huron Township, because you're somewhat on the edges of Downriver. Downriver Mutual Aid, I know there's mutual aid in western Wayne counties. What about Monroe? Are you guys hooked into multiple mutual aid agencies, or do you just concern yourself with the DCCs?
No, we collaborate with most of them.
Okay.
I would say from the Monroe side, that's primarily from our fire side,
Okay.
with auto aid, mutual aid, a lot of the fire agencies on the south end of the township. Western Wayne, we are actually part of their dispatch network, so we do work with them. Primarily for our concept teams, we do go through the DCC and the DMA, just because of the close proximity of where they are and how quickly they can get to us.
Okay. Our first public service vodcast episode was about the influence of technology on modern law enforcement, policing, and things like that. How has your department seen the influence of new tech impact your approach to what you do?
It's been incredible. Over the last 30 years, we've seen such an influence of technology. The first and most important being the body-worn cameras. Okay. And for our department, when we went to them, we weren't there when I got there. It's been incredible. It's been something that we impress upon our officers is that the video camera helps us in many cases, and it's really an accountability tool for both sides. But good professional police work that's caught on camera, or bad police work that's caught on camera, is really easy to work through and to adjust and to be transparent with both sides. So that's the first and foremost.
I know here in Taylor, working with Chief Blair, John Blair, I know he's told me over and over again when it comes to body cams, works both ways, and you're saying literally the same thing.
Correct.
There's an accountability for the person you're stopping, but there's also accountability of the guy wearing the camera, and everybody knows what's going on then.
Well, and something that we really impress upon our officers is not only when it's going bad, review your camera, but review it all the time. Right. When you're looking from an outside view, you can see how you can do things better. You can see how you might have interacted with that person a little bit better. Maybe you can understand where they were coming from a little bit better. So it's an accountability issue all the way around, and we've really embraced it in Huron Township, and so have our officers.
How long have you been in law enforcement?
I've been in law enforcement since 1993, so I just hit my 30-year mark last year.
Right. It's got to be really different from when you started to what you're seeing now. It's really amazing, some of the things that they come up with.
Right. I mean, handwritten reports and handwritten tickets, handwritten things were that was the norm, right? There weren't computers in the car. You didn't get that real-time information. A lot of things that you needed to do back then, you had to drive to a station to do it. Now our officers can stay out on the streets. They can stay interactive with the communities. They can have more of a presence. It's really been a good thing.
When it comes to community policing, that approach that we just touched on before, do you guys have a lot of programs going on with your department as far as almost like outreach programs with the community?
We do, and in my opinion, community policing can't be words. It's got to be a philosophy, and it really is in Huron Township. One of the things that we're really, really proud of is that we've introduced a neighborhood liaison program. So what we have in Huron Township is every neighborhood has a direct officer who is their direct contact to discuss quality of life issues in their neighborhood. Now that may not be the officer that's there on every call, but if they have an ongoing quality of life issue, a stop sign issue, a noise complaint issue, something where it's really affecting their quality of life, they can contact that officer, and that officer will make arrangements to get that problem worked on or solved and report back to them exactly what happened. And that builds transparency, it builds trust. I think it's really an important tool for us. And usually what we do is go through the homeowner association president who will compile each month the complaints that each neighborhood may have, and then he reports that back to them. So that's one of the things that we do. We have other things, and probably the most important community policing aspect is our school resource officers, right? That's really where trust is built. It's built at a young age. It has been very, very fruitful for us, and we have two of the best. We do things like Shop with a Hero. Just recently we had a young man with Shop with a Hero who had been in trouble, and he came to Shop with a Hero. He was able to develop a relationship actually with the officer who walked him around, and he's now part of our Explorer program, and he's looking to go into the police academy. And so some of those programs are very, very beneficial, and we do a lot of that. But most importantly, it's just getting out there in the public. We take our fire trucks out in the summer and we spray the kids with the fire hose. And while that's important, it gives us a chance to talk to mom and dad and find out what's going on in their neighborhood. So community policing is everything to us. I know it's a word that kind of goes up and down over the years, but it really should be the philosophy of every police department, and I think primarily it is.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All righty, excellent. We're back on Destination Downriver, our public safety package, and now we have Chief Jeff Watson, Brownstown Township. Jeff, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, excellent. Brownstown Township, another community that is always viewed as among the safest cities in the region. Has that been the case have you recognized that, and do you take some special pride in it or anything?
Well, we're very proud of the fact that we're seen that way. And I can tell you as a lifelong Brownstown resident, I've never felt otherwise. Brownstown has always been considered a very safe community. And I think, I've seen the population more than double in my career there. But we've managed to keep the crime low and maintain that safety in the community. One of the things that I'm pretty proud of is I travel around the state going to various other events where there's police chiefs from or police command from around the state. Is the number of other police officers that live in Brownstown or the Downriver area. And that says a lot, because police officers, the number one thing is looking out for their family. And the fact that they feel safe bringing their family to our area, it says a lot.
Now, Brownstown's kind of a unique community in the way it's broken up and as big as it is. How many square miles is Brownstown?
Brownstown has 23 square miles of land and 8 square miles that are actually on Lake Erie. A lot of people don't realize our east border down in that Lake Erie area, our south end, is with Canada. So we have an international border. We border 8 different communities. We have 5 different zip codes. So it's challenging but unique, and it was one of the draws for me to stay in Brownstown and have my policing career there.
Given the water and the border, international border, special requirements, special nuances when it comes to law enforcement?
Sure, we're concerned about border security like everyone else. The waterways are one of the gold mines of Downriver, right? There's we have a big outdoor community down there in the spring. The Detroit River and Lake Erie are world-class walleye fishing. We have people coming from around the world to fish there and stay in Brownstown and the Downriver communities while they're here. But we don't really have problems from our border crossings, right? We have a lot of our federal partners that have many patrols, and our borders are in good hands up here on the Detroit River and Lake Erie. We have a border patrol station right in Gibraltar. They have water assets and air assets that are constantly managing that. So that allows us to focus on the duties that we have inland. And so,
compared to the southern border, is the Detroit River waterway the kind of a key player here, because it is a large waterway? I mean, we're not talking about the southern border, while it does have some waterways on it and stuff, and maybe some are bigger than others, that's a whole different geographical outlay. Does that make it easier to police in this?
I think it does, right?
Okay.
We have the recreational boating that takes place out there makes it pretty difficult for people with bad intentions to use our waterways that way, right? So we've had the see something, say something campaign, and that's a community that helps us look for suspicious activity. We just don't see a lot of bad stuff happening on the waters, and like I mentioned, there are federal patrols, the county patrols. We keep a close eye on our shorelines when we're working down there, but no, very safe area.
Do you have much cooperation with the Canadian authorities, or is that mainly through Homeland?
It's mainly through Homeland Security, but I've been out on water patrols with the county, and we've met boat to boat with Canadian authorities, so they're out there doing the same thing that we are. So with I think at the federal level there's a lot of cooperation in keeping our waterways safe.
Something of a catalyst for policing cooperation and collaboration between communities has been working on consolidated dispatch systems and other downriver communities that where you guys are coming together, and you guys come together in a lot of different areas. Can you expound on that? Tell us about
Sure.
what you guys do.
We've had Downriver Mutual Aid, which is one of the oldest mutual aid agreements in the state. We work very well together with Downriver's made up of a lot of small and mid-sized communities, and that's the public safety sides of that. It's the same, small and mid-sized communities. But we've found a way to pool our resources with Downriver Mutual Aid, and we just have seen that work to our advantage in a lot of different cases. Southgate recently, last year, had a very bad fire. We were able to bring 7 communities together to have a positive outcome from what could have been a very tragic incident. But the one place that we have struggled in, we can send police and fire assets to other communities to help if we have a vehicle to drive in, but our true first responders are our dispatchers, and those dispatchers work in various public safety buildings around Downriver. So we're working on a collaboration to try to get more of a centralized dispatch system going, so that we can share those assets like we do our police and fire assets out in the field. So right now we've the North Downriver communities had several years ago looked at this, and the cities of Southgate, Allen Park, Lincoln Park, and Wyandotte collaborated and work out of a central dispatch center there out of Wyandotte Police Department. Brownstown is kind of spearheading this in South Downriver, and right now we have the city of Trenton that we're sharing dispatch services with, and that's going very well. And we're in discussions with some of the other smaller Downriver communities. It's going slow, but it's to be expected. But it's moving in that direction.
When it comes to hiring, have trouble hiring these days?
We're lucky. We're fully staffed right now, and we had some challenges, especially after the environment we saw in 2020 across the nation and the world. So we've had some challenges, but we've seen a lot of resources coming together, some state grants to allow us to send officers through police academies, something that we've never been able to do in the past. And I know even our Downriver Community Conference is just told us about a grant that they have to help with being able to pay for police academy fees, things that we hadn't been able to do in the past. So I feel blessed and lucky that I'm fully staffed, because I know a lot of communities are struggling. But retention and recruiting continues to be one of the biggest challenges that law enforcement faces. But we're weathering the storm pretty well in Brownstown.
Since you began your career, technology in law enforcement has really taken different turns. What do you see around Brownstown?
Well, the technology changes have made it challenging, but have also given us resources that we've never had in the past before. We don't have a lot of violent crime related to robberies, bank robberies, that kind of thing anymore. But we're having a challenge with now what we're seeing in the fraud areas, identity theft and people being defrauded on the phone. Just last week, someone used technology they call it spoofing, where they were able to make the Brownstown Police Department phone number show up on a caller ID and impersonated me, and to try to get our community members to pay cash or pay with a Green Dot card. And I'd just like to say we never do business like that over the phone. But that has created challenges for us to get the message out to the public that for scam awareness and identity theft awareness. But on the positive side, there are technologies now as far as cell phone technology. Almost every crime now that's committed has a nexus to a cell phone. we have the ability and the capabilities now to find people's locations and get into their phones to see communications, social media posts. We're looking at drone technology now, how we can utilize that as a force multiplier for crowd control and search and rescue operations. So with the challenges we have, we've seen technology also bring law enforcement to a new level that really helps us in our investigations.
Speaking about levels here, okay, we're talking about technology, we're headed down the road to the left. Let's go to the right, community policing. What does Brownstown do as far as outreach in the community? Do you guys do anything different, special? How has that developed?
So Brownstown, we really believe in community policing. Community policing, you know, the founder of modern policing it was Sir Robert Peel, and one of his most famous quotes was, you know, the police are the community and the community are the police, and you know, that's really a philosophy. So in Brownstown, we see community policing as not a division or a unit within a police department. We see that as a policing philosophy, and it's so important. We have events we do in the warmer months. We call it "Cop on a Block," and I can't say I invented that phrase. Right? we borrowed that from another Downriver community that was using it. But the concept is simple. We meet in our neighborhoods and try to find out what issues the community is having. So we meet up on a block, usually by a park, or we'll block off a street, and we get a sponsor to bring some cookies or donuts and water, you know, some refreshments. And we let the community come there. We talk about what we're doing in the community, but more importantly, we find out what kind of quality of life issues they're having. And then we work as a team to try to address those issues. Something that we're going to be starting by summer here is what we call a community support unit. They will be attending those Cop on a Block sessions and finding out what kind of issues are happening in the community. And we'll come up working with the community, right? Because community trust is so important to be successful out there. Like Robert Peel said, if you know, we're all working together, right?
Well, it seems to me, I know I've been at a few of those types of gatherings, and it is amazing the kind of conversations that police are able to have when it's not some confrontational situation.
Correct.
You know, you're not handing out a ticket, you haven't pulled somebody over, you're not interrogating somebody or investigating the situation. You're just you're just talking. You might be playing hacky sack and having a hot dog, you know, that kind of thing. But homeowners really do, I think, appreciate that kind of thing where they can look at the police chief and have a conversation. And, you know, hey, I got a problem with this, or I have a problem with this intersection, or whatever. You guys have to be able to pull a tremendous amount out of that.
We do, and it really has gained a lot of trust with the community, and if the community doesn't legitimize what you're doing, we can't do our job. So those conversations, it also humanizes us, right? Then they know, they see us as people, and to let them know that you know, there's more to law enforcement than just enforcing the law. Right. There is definitely community engagement. We love that. We respect that, and I think we've seen it come both ways. You know, we talked earlier about 2020 and the challenges in policing. I can say that from the Brownstown community, we didn't have any problems. In fact, we saw more love from our community during that time period than I've ever seen in my entire career. So I think that says volumes about the community-police relationship, and not just Brownstown, but Downriver. I think that's been the experience.
Well, thanks, Chief. Appreciate you coming on. We really enjoy you at the studio. We don't want you to be a stranger around here, okay?
All right. Well, I'd be happy to come back anytime.
All right, fantastic. We are back on Destination Downriver with another segment of our public safety report. We're here, Andy Swift, John Allen, the police chief in Riverview, Chief Allen, when you took over, and you chime in anytime you want to, Andy, okay?
Yes, sir.
When you took over the department in Riverview, you indicated that one of the most challenging aspects or problems facing law enforcement in your city and others was recruiting and retention. What programs or procedures have you been working on to overcome those challenges?
Well, I was fortunate to have a very supportive city manager, council, and mayor, so we have formulated a plan together. We tackled lateral transfers, so we offer that now. We brought back a traditional pension. And then we also, what we did for our employees that were currently there, we took the pay scale and we adjusted it for them. So instead of a 4 pay scale, it went to a 3-year pay scale.
Okay.
And we were very fortunate. We were able to bring our numbers up to 23, that's what we're budgeted at. We're currently at 21, but we're still getting good applicants, and we have a couple in the background phase. We should be back to 23 pretty soon.
Andy, from the political side of things, this is all often a up down struggle.
Yeah,
okay?
there's
and then not just with police, but with everything. With
there's
all
a cycle that happens, and then when the chief brought up about the pensions, and obviously the trend these days is to not provide pensions. But I think council decided with the chief's input, city manager's input, that we did provide a modified pension. So it is a little bit better benefit that other communities may or may not provide. So and that helped tremendously.
You find that the laterals help?
It did help. Most of our new hires are laterals. And our pay scale went up. We were very competitive pay-wise, which is very good.
Right. How big is Riverview?
We're a little over, 4 square miles? We have about over 12,000 residents.
About 12,400.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And what's your optimum number on the force?
23.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay. You satisfied with that?
Yes, I'd like to keep our numbers at 23.
All right. Okay. Riverview is another of those downriver communities that has been ranked among the safest places to live in the region and in the state. What's been the reason for that achievement, and how do you sustain that type of momentum? From a historical aspect, let's go with you first, Andy, because you've been around for a long time.
I've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And
What do you
our city has always had a good relationship with the police department and the schools. It plays a key role in that too. Where, and actually in the last few years with Chief Allen and the chief before him, become higher profile in the community with the visits with residents and the first responders in the park that you started up. So yeah, we have a really good relationship. And actually I think in Riverview and most of Downriver still respect the police department.
How do you see it, Chief?
Oh, we're well respected within the community. It goes hand in hand with the community. And they trust us, so they call the police when they need the police. And I'll give credit to our employees. It's not just the citizens, it's the employees, and not just our employees. It's all city employees, from code enforcement to building department officials to our DPW. We're a very clean city, and I attribute that to our city workers.
Oh, that's excellent.
We have great parks, we have great schools, like the mayor said. And it's very easy to be a police chief in a community where you're very supportive.
Do you find yourself doing more and more and more thanks to the times that we're in with the schools?
Yeah, we have monthly meetings with the school safety team that I attend and the fire department attends. And our officers, that's another good point, I'm glad you brought that up. Our officers in the morning and in the afternoons, besides traveling around during their travels during the day, they're at the schools in the morning, they're at the schools when they're let out. We're very, very visible. And that's part of the reason why I want to keep those numbers up. It's very important to properly fund the department, to have that funding source so we can be visible out there, because if your numbers drop, you're just not out there, you don't see the police officers as much, we can't engage as much as we normally can because we'd be on calls longer. It might take a little more extra time to get there. So.
Yeah. And what's unique about Riverview too is, and you need the funding, you need the officers there. It's like 55% of our kids are school of choice, so it's a lot of traffic at the schools before school and after. It's a lot of people coming in and out of the city.
Right. That's kind of a double-edged sword with school of choice, because on the one hand you've got a lot of kids school of choice, which means your schools are pretty good, okay, because people are attracting them. But the other thing is the traffic and the movement.
Correct.
And all of that stuff. Do you have a liaison in the schools, or is it just you make your typical daily runs?
Well, we have a Detective Lyles, who's actually a kind of a liaison there. He does all the juvenile stuff.
Okay.
But we go into the schools all the time, and the school's been very generous to us. They let us utilize their schools on off time so we can do our active shooting training, which we will do over Easter break this year. I believe we're at Seats Middle School this year. So it's very important to get the layout for our officers and also to actually train live in the schools.
You know, Downriver, so many communities, but almost everybody feels like it's one big community, okay? You guys do a lot in the law enforcement side of things when it comes to collaborating. Can you talk at that? What are you doing with other cities that benefit Riverview, along with what would you like to see done that's not being done?
Yeah, we do utilize Downriver Mutual Aid quite a bit within our borders or not borders, you know, because I like to think of it, we don't really have borders, we're just teammates helping each other out. But we have a dive team that we utilize. We have a crash team that we utilize. There's a Downriver Major Task Force that most citizens probably don't know about. So if there's major crime in Riverview and it overwhelms our detectives, we can call in on that task force. They bring in investigators and tools to help us out. As well as we share a SWAT team, and we also share a crisis negotiator team. In Riverview, I'm proud to say we're part of that team. We have an officer on that team, and we're adding an officer to the SWAT team. So when you utilize those, you want to also be a good partner and put your tools to use so we can collectively all work together.
It's all part of Downriver Mutual Aid, and obviously we meet at the DCC. We have our monthly meetings, and they're always looking for ways to enhance the cooperation. And I think that cooperation really showed recently last year with the fire in Southgate. The big fire there was 8 communities involved, fire and police departments, and I think mutual aid worked like a charm.
Well, hey, bottom line is you can't have manpower and expertise for every single thing. If you've only got X number of guys, and if you pool all those resources together, there's probably no doubt that it really comes in handy at times.
It does, and to add to your point, what can we do to add on to that? Well, several Downriver communities, you know, they share a dispatch, Allen Park, Lincoln Park, Southgate, and Wyandotte. Brownstown's trying to branch out and do the same thing, and Trenton's on board with them now. And that's something we may look into the future to do as well. We share our animal control currently with the city of Wyandotte, Southgate, and Allen Park. So we share a lot of services. We are good partners, and we appreciate the partnership downriver.
In our first public safety vodcast here, we had a couple people on from Taylor who were talking about the influence of major technology into law enforcement. What's your department doing, and how do you look at new technology when it comes to policing?
Well, we're very fortunate because we're a safe community. We don't have a lot of crime. That's not to say we don't have crime, but we have the typical equipment nowadays that used to not be typical when I first started in the 90s. We have the tasers, we have body cameras, we have in-car cameras. The technology that I like the best that we've been using lately is each officer has an iPad with them. So if we incur a citizen that's in distress mentally, we can put them in touch with a clinician right then and there. They'll talk one-on-one, which has been very beneficial to the city and to the officers, and obviously to the person that's in distress, so we can get them some help. The main concern I see with technology is not on really us utilizing it, but how citizens utilize it and how it's taken our detective bureau, and it's really, really made them more and more busy because it's so much data you have to analyze nowadays. Before, when I was a police officer, there was no cameras, nothing like that. Now everything has data with it. And that data has to be analyzed on certain cases to solve crime. So that's the biggest problem I see for us, technology-wise, is can we keep growing with that technology? Because that stuff's expensive to try to all have that stuff. We utilized Downriver Mutual Aid. We all bought into the system called Gray Key. What it does is you can hook up phones to it and it analyzes it, and then it will give that department that information that we're looking for.
Oh, wow.
Before we used to utilize the FBI and the state police. Well, downriver there's 3 of those in our communities down here, and we utilize those, which is great.
And you have to use the technology properly, and obviously with all the online items going on with Facebook and stuff, I think kind of the frustration the police department has is when something does happen, you don't post it on Facebook. You actually call the police or call 911 or even the regular number to let them know. So you have to have the right use of the technology.
Yeah, it's so common, I think, for residents of any community to kind of burst out on social media about whatever their complaint is. And problem being, I see the same thing you do, and it is the disconnect. They think just because they're talking to everybody on social media that they're filing some official complaint.
Yes.
A lot of times cities don't see those things, and it makes it difficult. If you make direct contact, it's a heck of a lot more easy.
That's right.
There's no doubt about that. What about community policing? What do you guys do as far as outreach programs within Riverview?
Well, we're very fortunate. Riverview has a ton of opportunities for the police to be engaged. We have Summerfest.
Mm-hmm.
We have a national night out.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Faith in Blue that we do every year.
Mm-hmm.
Like the mayor alluded to earlier, we have a rescues and responders. What we do is we go out in the neighborhood with the police and the fire.
Mm-hmm.
We pick a location. We tell the residents we're going to be there for an hour. We sit down and have a conversation with them.
Sure.
So it's easy for us. We have concert in the park.
Mm-hmm.
This next Saturday we have Easter stroll at Young Patriots Park,
Sure. Yeah.
which we have, I don't know, maybe 20 businesses,
Yeah.
the fire department, police department. We go out there and we pass out candy and the kids walk around the park. It's a great time.
And
It's
unfortunately
amazing.
for everybody else, the police and fire are always the favorite staples to stop at.
Well, there's no doubt about that.
That's right, yes.
But I've always thought that in a de-escalated situation, it is amazing the feedback that you get. I mean, they see you there. If somebody's lucky enough to, talk to the police chief, and you're just talking, man to man.
Yeah, and one example, when the first Faith in Blue we had, there was some young people there, at least one person in particular, he was very hesitant. He said he was actually afraid of the police. And one of your officers took him for a ride in the four-wheeler around the pond. And I mean, it was, to see the transformation in that young man was just incredible. So these outreach things really, really work.
Anything on tap in Riverview that you're really looking for, that like number one on your list as far as a project or a mission that you want, something like that?
Well, internally in our department, we're going through an accreditation process with all of our policies and procedures. So internally, that's kind of a big issue that's going on for us right now. It's really labor intensive, but it really helps us to get into the 20th century policing. Not that our policies were bad, but what this does is it aligns us with the best practices in policing. And we've already rewritten all of the policies, but it's not just to write them. You have to actually prove that you're doing them, right? So that's what we're going through right now. My administrative secretary does that.
Typical police department, what's the timeline on updates? How many years between times do between updates and policy like you're talking about?
I think the last time we went through it, we were doing it in 2016, but they had some turnover with administrative lieutenants.
Sure.
So the ball, it got rolled, but it just didn't get completely rolled, right? So we're at that stage where we're trying to finish it. We're trying to help out. But it should be looked at every year. It'll be looked at. But rewritten, I don't know, maybe every 5 years, some stuff can be tweaked. But every time there's a law change, we put that into our policy and change that kind of stuff too.
And that's why I think he had the respect of the community and myself and council. But one thing from the political side of the view coming up is we have a public safety millage coming up, where, at least for the city of Riverview, we're just looking to maintain our police force. We're not looking to grow it. But with the lack of income that we're not going to get from our landfill expansion, or the lack of the expansion, is we need the money to finance the police department. We're a really safe community, and we want to keep it that way. And because of the officers, that's where we're pushing for that's a $2 million public safety millage coming up.
How tough of a sell is it?
I don't know that it's a tough sell. It's a tough pill to swallow anytime taxes go up.
Yeah.
And I understand that. We all live in communities where taxes go up. We're very, very, very supportive, but it's a tough decision that the council's going to have to make.
It is. It's a tough. I mean, the sell is easy. We can easily say the importance of why we need it in the history of the department and those types of things. But yeah, we all know Riverview's. I think it's 30% of our community is 60 and older, so it's an older community, and I'm part of it. We live on a fixed income, so I understand any increase in taxes is a tough pill to swallow. But we have to do it.
When does this go on the ballot?
It's a $2 million. It's something that council can vote on its own.
Oh, okay.
So through the state of Michigan, I don't know what public act it is. I'm not up on that stuff. But for public safety, we can enact up to $2 million at the council level.
Okay. When do you think it will go to council?
The plan is late April, early May.
Okay.
And we have to do it. Obviously, we've got budget coming up.
Sure.
So if it doesn't pass, we'll have to adjust the budget and make adjustments from there.
Okay.
But it'll be late April, early May.
Okay. Anything we should add?
Yeah, just expand on that for our citizens to let them know is when I took over, I looked at our budget and I looked at all our personnel. I lowered it from 25 to 23. So we are fiscally responsible. We're trying to do the most we can do with the least amount and still provide that service to keep us safe.
Well, gentlemen, it was a pleasure having you on. I wish you luck with that, because
thank you
that's
very
important.
much.
People should realize that. Do your research, and the council should take that very, very seriously. But we appreciate you coming on, and don't be strangers.
No, well,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Have you back.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Carl.
All righty, no problem. We're back on Destination Downriver with our final guest today. This is Police Chief Scott Lavis.
Yes, sir.
Of Lincoln Park. He is new, just appointed in April, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic. Let's go right to question number one. You've undertaken some new approaches when it comes to staffing challenges and that have faced police departments throughout the country and in other downriver communities. Can you tell us a little about how you're attacking staffing? Because I know that can be a fairly difficult problem these days.
It is, and like you said, it's throughout the country,
Oh, yeah.
throughout the state, throughout the country. Over the past few years, our numbers have been reducing. A lot of officers left for other departments who offered better options.
Yeah, sure.
Less busy. Lincoln Park is a busy town. So when I got promoted in April to chief, shortly after that, I found us down 9 officers, which were budgeted for 47. So
That's a lot.
losing 9 officers from 47 is huge. So we took some, I guess, aggressive recruiting stances and retention ways. We started putting our applications out on billboards, that we're hiring.
Sure.
Of course, we went to the academies trying to sell us to these recruits who are in the academy. The city opened up our contracts and brought us more comparable with some of these other departments that were coming in and taking our well-trained officers.
Sure.
We started paying, sponsoring people through the academy, which hadn't done in decades.
Right.
At one time it was the norm. You get sent through the academy. Then when the demand there were so many police officers wanting the job, you didn't have to do that. Then we found that in this almost dire emergency of staffing levels and safety for overall city, had to do something to do that. The city offered up signing bonuses for officers coming in, and gave some of our city workers referral bonuses. So in a sense, every employee of the city was a recruiter for the police department.
All for one and one for all.
Right.
Yeah, that has to work. How do you feel about the situation now?
Like I said, we started sponsoring recruits in the academy, and we currently have 4 officers in the Washtenaw Police Academy who are set to graduate on the 22nd, so just 2 weeks.
That's fantastic.
And at that time, we will be 1 officer down, so we're still
Okay.
accepting applications.
Gotcha.
And that's huge, taking care of that deficit of missing officers.
Right. How big is Lincoln Park?
Just under 6 square miles.
Okay, and
So
how many residents?
we're in the 40,
Okay.
40,000s.
Okay, all righty. You were mentioning fairly busy department?
We are
Okay.
very busy.
All right.
We handle about anywhere 25 to 30,000 calls a year, which is probably one of the busier departments downriver.
Officer training is awfully important, and you mentioned being able to put new people through the academy and those kind of things. What else can you do when you're talking about that training effort? What do you guys do in Lincoln Park? Have you brought on any new ideas that you're really proud of or anything like that?
When I first went into this profession, going through the police academy, I remember one of the instructors telling me or telling the class that, the day that you stop learning, and learning is training, it's time to hang up your hat and call it a day. We do our standard trainings of use of force, firearms training, but also we have training every single day, roll call training with the technology of body cameras and videos. Everybody has a phone. There's a multitude of different sources, and it's an opportunity for our officers to see something that went good, something that went bad, and it's an opportunity to discuss that at roll call, especially for a young department. Your training experience comes with time. Every run, every conversation, everything is a opportunity to learn.
Right. Yeah, it's a step on a long staircase, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Downriver, one big community of a bunch of little communities, that kind of thing. A lot of partnerships go on involving first response and law enforcement. What are you guys involved with as far as kind of mutual law enforcement?
We do have a Downriver mutual aid. It's everybody downriver.
Sure.
And that's a great thing for, every city has different budgets, different personnel, manning, and stuff like that. So when something happens, you have these other agencies that are available. Especially at like that, there can be another agency coming to help you out. But that also works with training. We have monthly meetings with the Downriver chiefs, and we have training opportunities, operations. There's different mutual aid teams, I guess. SWAT team, crisis negotiating, crash team. Crash team's probably the busiest. They help with serious injury crashes. There's a dive team. There are numerous things.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great thing.
Exactly.
It's a great thing for just broadening everybody's resources.
You were touching on technology, and on one of our other episodes, we talked heavily about public safety agencies and new technology. How has let's start with you personally, okay? Because you've been around for a little while in Lincoln Park. How has the job changed when it comes to, this is where I started and these were the things I was able to use. This is my toolbox. What's in your toolbox these days?
It seems to change every day. It really is. It seems like technology is always changing and improving. Whether it's a patrol car is your office and just everything from electronic ticket writer, your computer. We've been able to write reports in your car for years, but at one time, in order to type a report, you'd have to go into the station and do that. And now we can keep officers out on the road.
That took an amazing amount of time. People don't realize that. I mean, your shift, there was an amazing amount of time spent in any officer's shift doing laborious paperwork. It'd take the person right off the street, and you had to do that.
And when you're running 30,000 complaints, that's a lot of visits to the station.
Exactly, no doubt about
just
that.
for the paper. Then just the equipment itself, if it's a radar or laser, it's so much better. We were fortunate enough in Lincoln Park to be part of obtaining license plate readers through Flock Safety. We were one of the first of the Downriver communities. I think Riverview was first that had it, and that technology has just been fabulous for helping solve crimes and stuff like that.
No doubt about that. Anything that you're looking forward to getting in Lincoln Park?
If I had a wish list?
Yeah, if you had a wish list. What's on the top of your wish list?
I would love to have a drone. I think that could be so great possible. We don't have body cameras at this time.
Oh,
but that
okay.
is obviously something
Right.
we're moving towards.
What's first on your hit list? Would you go to the drones or would you go to the body cameras first?
Probably body cameras.
Because they probably
yes.
affect the
Yes.
best.
Drones will be cheaper, but
That's for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
with the technology too, it's almost like a wish list.
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah,
just
yeah. It all comes down to money.
right.
You know, and money does run out. Community policing is such a hot topic these days. What's Lincoln Park doing to outreach to the community and to turn kind of the conversation into a non-confrontational exchange of ideas versus, having somebody in front of you who's scared of the uniform and all that stuff. What are you guys doing? Are you doing anything special?
I kind of take pride in our community policing outreach programs that we have. We are very, very active in the community. It's all year round thing. You know, from the holidays, we do Shop with a Hero. We go out and collect for Goodfellows, which then we go shopping with kids who may not have a Christmas. You know, our department, there are so many people that volunteer that, and they bring in their families to go out and collect. You know,
Wow.
it's a great thing. We have a very generous couple that comes every year. They're elves from Secret Santa, and we go around, and we are fortunate enough to escort them around and pass out $100 bills.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
I think over the last well over 10 years, they've been coming, and they pass out anywhere $13,000 to $15,000 a year. We're able to do ham giveaways where we'll stop somebody on a traffic stop and give them a ham for the holidays, and stuff like that. We partner with our schools, local businesses, churches, and various committees and groups within the city. Our relationship with the school is excellent. We have 2 school resource officers. It's a great place to, I guess, introduce some families or some kids, anyways, to police. You know, you're not always the cop who's coming to the house when something bad happens.
Sure.
It's an opportunity to interact with a police officer on a different note, and we do that through our community policing programs as well. Like this month is reading month.
Okay.
Yesterday we read to 6 different classes,
Really?
and throughout the
Okay.
month we have numerous classes that we're doing. We work with Mixture Institute. It's an autistic school for adult ed, and that is a wonderful partnership. We try to get out everyone. We have lunch with seniors. We have lunch with veterans. You know, we try to I guess.
Kind of touch all the bases, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Everything.
It is amazing the impact that type of thing can have. Whether you're out there with the Secret Santa, I have to admit, it's probably become old hat for you, but I know I rode with one of the Taylor policemen a few years ago when we were doing Secret Santa and stopping somebody and slipping them $100 bill or whatever. The impact around the holidays, especially if you run into the kind of the right person,
Yes.
it's just shocking. I mean, people breaking down, and this one lady I remember, we stopped, and I think our officer ended up giving her like $200 or $300, but in the course of like 30 seconds, she was worried about the stop because she thought she was speeding. She had just lost her job. It was just her life was a total mess until he walked into it. And it was so rewarding to watch that. And you have to see it, I think, to believe what goes on in those situations.
There's a lot of emotions on that day.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you get a lot of tears, and it's a great feeling.
It is.
You know, especially for a police officer who doesn't really get that opportunity. So, like I said, we're very, very thankful that they include us on that. kind
Well,
of
we're lucky
stuff.
to have you in Lincoln Park. And
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you on today. And we look forward to maybe running across you again.
Yes, thank you, Carl.
Okay, well, thank you very much,
Appreciate it.
Chief. That's it for this episode of Destination Downriver. We'd like to thank all our panelists for participating in this discussion. Local law enforcement is one of the most important things in any community. Please support your law enforcement officials today, tomorrow, and moving forward into the future. We'd also like to thank the people behind the scenes, Joe Camilleri, Samantha Rickert, for their participation and to help make this come together. We'll see you on the next edition of Destination Downriver.
Thank you again to our sponsors, Martinson Family of Funeral Homes and Allegra Marketing, with a special thanks to our production partners here at the new Taylor Media Center. Thanks for listening and watching. Please visit our website, destinationdownriver.com, or our Facebook page, and be sure to join us for next month's podcast.